Hey Cardinal family, I want to talk about our next component of our draft of our instructional beliefs, as well as our next 3 months worth of professional development days and how those are shaping up. First thing, next component is observable engagement. And if you're not new to us here at Crete Public Schools, then this is probably the thing you heard me talk about more than anything last year. That it's so important that in our instruction we solicit observable engagement in the learning intentionally. Now, what do I mean by that? Observable engagement means that we have our learning target and our students engage in speaking, they engage in writing, they engage in the act of creating a product, they engage in physical movement that demonstrates progression towards that learning target. Now, frequently, and I was guilty of this too, we will have inferred engagement of the learning. I know there were times in my 8th grade American history class when I was certain I was delivering a riveting lecture and all the students were quiet and I think I had all their eyes, but I'm sure those brains were a lot of different places than just on American history. In that circumstance, I'm just inferring that they're engaged. But if I get a reaction out of them, if I have them create something, if I have them speak, then I know that they are engaged in the learning. We need to intentionally give every student an opportunity to be observably engaged in a manner that demonstrates we are moving towards those learning targets. And we're going to keep talking about that. We're going to keep giving examples as the year goes on. But that is one that is so important to me. We want to know that they're learning. And if we can't observe the engagement in the learning, then we don't know if they're learning. We're just making a guess. All right, next thing, professional development days. So on September, looking at my calendar, September 13th, next week is our first full PD day. There's a lot of different things going on that day. Your principals will have a more concrete schedule for you about what's unfolding in your building. One thing I want you to note though, your principals will also make you aware, I'm going to put a link in this Google Classroom as well. We are doing an MTSS survey district-wide. I'd like to have that MTSS survey completed by September 14th of that PD week. So I just realized I keep on doing this off camera. You don't even know I'm looking at my calendar on my wall. But anyway, that's what's over there. Anyway, this MTSS survey is really important because it is going to help drive our professional development for our November date. Universally, one of our goals this year is to elevate our Tier 1 instruction. In order for us to provide the best professional development for that to happen, we kind of need to see where everyone is at regarding MTSS. So I'm sharing that link in this Google Classroom. Your principals will share this link. You'll have some time to take care of that on September 13th, and I'd like it before we get to the end of Thursday of that same week. So that's what's kind of shaken down on September 13th. On October, which I believe it's October 11th, we have Debbie and Gary coming back. Two big things. You're going to work a half a day with them at each one of your buildings. And the focus, the two big things, is going to be tidying up some things with our learning progressions and our scales and making sure that we start to work on standards-based planning. And that will be what is going to drive Debbie and Gary's professional development. We're going to try to leave you a half a day unencumbered to work on those things. At least that's the goal for right now for October. November, again, like I said, the survey that you're going to do on MTSS, that's going to drive what we're going to develop for our professional development on our November day. Also, we're going to see where we're at after our next work with Debbie and Gary on learning progressions and standard-based planning. That will also help develop what's going to happen in November. And I'm going to fast forward all the way till March because here's one thing I want you to think about. In March, we are going to schedule a day where it is going to be staff-driven professional development. For lack of a better term, we're going to kind of run our own Crete mini conference. What I want you guys to be thinking about is if you had the opportunity, if somebody said you have 45 minutes to share with your peers, that's going to help elevate their instruction, what is it you would talk about? If you had 45 minutes, and again, we're talking about Tier 1 instruction for the most part. If you had 45 minutes and I just said, I need you to fill this 45 minutes with the best that you have, with something that really works for you, that you know if your peers had access to it or saw your perspective, it would help them be better and it would help our students learn more. What would that be? Because that's what I'm going to be asking in March. I'm going to be asking us as a Crete Public School staff to drive that, to submit some ideas for what would you provide for professional development for your peers. And then we're going to set that up for our March PD day. It's going to be all us teaching us. I'm going to give you some time in November to work on some proposals for that. But for right now, just let that percolate a little bit. If I have the opportunity to teach my peers in Crete Public Schools something that would help elevate their instruction, their service, what would it be? Get that brewing. All right. I think that's all I have. It was a short week, but for me, it was a bonkers week. I hope you survived. We're going to be back at it next week. Hang in there, Cardinal family.